I'm Mona Santana. This is my daily gratitude list where I list and talk about 5 things I'm grateful for that hopefully you can relate to as well. Number 1, I'm grateful for indoor toilets. I'm sure you can agree with that. It wasn't so long ago that we didn't have indoor toilets, actually. I mean, it's been a little over 100 years, I guess, but not everybody had them. Now, obviously, everybody has indoor toilets, or almost everybody for the most part, at least in the more developed nations. But I think that's the reason to be all that more grateful for having indoor toilets, because there are still some places in which people don't have them. It's incredible to me that something that we take for granted so much, like indoor toilets, is something that we absolutely need to be able to live our lives the way that we do. So I think I've mentioned having indoor plumbing as something I'm grateful for, but I wanted to be specific about saying that I'm grateful for having indoor toilets because that is definitely convenient. And yeah. Number 2, I'm grateful for chickpeas. I love chickpeas. They're garbanzo beans. Some people call them garbanzo beans. Some places they call them chickpeas. I grew up calling them garbanzo beans, but now I call them chickpeas. I don't know. But anyway, chickpeas are great because that's how you make hummus, and I love hummus. I eat that a lot. I also use them in cooking. I put them in salads. I love them. They're a really delicious legume. If you are a vegetarian or a vegan, they're probably a staple food that you eat quite a lot of because they're pretty high in protein. They have a really distinctive flavor and I like them a lot, so I'm grateful for them. Number 3, I'm grateful for super glue. I use super glue a lot because I wear these press-on nails and I like to use just super glue for them. And so it occurred to me that I use super glue quite a lot. Like if you break something, you can always just put it back together with super glue. Mostly, a lot of things. It's an amazing thing. Like I don't even know what the substance is that makes it so that it would be that adhesive, because you have regular glue like Elmer's glue. It's sticky, but it's not like you can bond things together like super glue. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Anyway, so I'm grateful for super glue. Number 4, I'm grateful for Beethoven. His music resonates to this day. It's still highly inspiring to people. He was alive during the late 1700s, early 1800s, and he composed over 700 works of music. And if you're not familiar with Beethoven, you don't know what he composed. I mean, you've definitely heard his music. You had to have, because it's just so completely ubiquitous. I mean, obviously Beethoven's Fifth Symphony is probably the most popular composition that he composed. Also, you're probably more familiar with Moonlight Sonata, which to me is an interesting story in that I'm such a huge Beatles fan. That their song Because was inspired by Moonlight Sonata. And so just the fact that Beethoven composed that song made it so that this other song that I love so much came about and inspired the Beatles and countless other artists to this day. And I even remember that there's a song called A Fifth of Beethoven, which is a disco song from the 70s that became a huge hit. You can't imagine what life would be like if we had not had Beethoven, because his music is so completely in the soundtrack of our lives. Beethoven obviously stands out as the greatest classical composer, along with a few others, but I would dare say that I think Beethoven stands alone. So I'm grateful for Beethoven for the countless works of art that he gave us. Number 5, I am grateful for grout. I was trying to come up with something that was just so completely taken for granted. Something in our lives that we completely take for granted. And I would say maybe grout would be, the thing that we take for granted more than most things. Because have you ever thought about grout, really? Not so much, but you need it, because if there are tiles, like you need to put up tiles, and you need grout. I know it sounds so ridiculous, right, to say, oh, I'm grateful for grout, but I am, because I like tile. And when you go out into public, there's tons of tile if you go, especially in bathrooms. But you know what? it's something that we have in our lives that if you can stop and be grateful for something as simple as grout, which is basically a mixture of cement, water, and sand, then you're doing really well, because it makes it so that you can actually be grateful for the very littlest things. And that is actually a really great thing to do for yourself. And you're noticing things in your life that are necessary for us to be able to live the kind of life that we have, which is amazing. Our lives, the way we live, is nothing short of amazing. I mean, we live in a time where we have literally anything that we want, and it's just so incredible the amount of advancements that we've made in less than 100 years. It is so beyond belief that we are able to have anything we want at our fingertips. So I want to thank you very much for joining me today. And if you've subscribed, I want to say thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't, please subscribe. Anyway, so I hope you're having a lovely day. I'll see you next time. Bye.